We'll talk late about that one.
It's fine. Hey, Teacher Ernest,
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
we can give like 3 minutes for Chantel to join, then we can start.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Sean, have you found Chantel? Sean? Sean, you there? Hi, Ernest.
Yeah.
Maybe meanwhile you can check up with Leilani and Imani to know how far they've gone with in the installation and so on as we wait for Chantel.
Okay, okay. So, hello guys. Morning. I hope you were able to, all of you have Anaconda installed. And so just like last week, we are going to start off by launching Anaconda. That is Jupyter Notebook. And that is the place where we are going to write and run our Python code. And so to do that, just like how we discussed in the last session, what you do, you come to the search down there. On the search, you type Jupyter with a Y. Then you will see an option, the best match, Jupyter Notebook. You can click on that so that you can launch it. So you can just give it some time to launch. And now you see a new page will be created in your web browser. And so from a web browser, you remember in the last session, we created a folder called Introduction to Python. And so now we want to access that folder. To access that folder, what you do, you just go to the name, Introduction to Python, and click on it. And you'll see the files that we worked with last week, the last session. And so from there, we want to make use of the file. What you do, just click on it again to launch the file. And so here is our file that we used. Hope all of you were able to follow the steps, and now you have this screen with you. Okay. Okay, so what we said in the last session was that Python is a programming language. And so by programming language, what we mean is that it's a language that we use to write code to the computer. And so what is code? Code is a set of instructions that you give to a computer to tell it what to do. And so those instructions usually have to be written in a certain language. And so that language is a language that we human beings can understand, and also the computer can also understand that language. And so that language is what we call a programming language. And Python is one of the programming languages that we have out here. And so other programming languages that we have are like the C programming language. We have the C++. Let me just be able to show you an illustration. And so mostly we have so many programming languages. We can be able to look. So we have Python is a programming language. We have Kotlin is a programming language. We have Java is a programming language. We have JavaScript. We have TypeScript. We have Go. We have C++, Swift. All these are programming languages. And so these programming languages are like, in human terms, are like what we have. We have English, we have Swahili, we have German, we have Portuguese. We have different languages to communicate as human beings. So do computers have their own different languages that are used for communication. And so you have Java. Java is a different language from Python, just as Swahili is a different language from English. And so, as you've said, a programming language is a language that we use to communicate to a computer so that we can tell it what to do. And that is what, that's a short introduction to programming language. And so one of the most popular languages these days is Python. And the reason for it being popular is that it has many users. It has many applications in the real world. And so it can be used to create games. It can be used to create programs for robots. It can be used to give instructions to robots to tell it what to do and what not to do. It can be used to create websites. It has so many applications. It can be used for data science. And so Python, one of the things that makes it very popular is that it is easy to learn. It's very easy to learn, unlike other languages. And that's why we introduce Python. And so Python has so many applications, and we are going to have a look at some of the applications that we can be able to use using Python as a language. And so I hope all of you are set and have the Jupyter notebook with you there so that we can be able to start with the practical side of it. So you can just raise your hand, maybe, if you are ready to start, so that we can start all together at the same time.
Chantel has joined. Chantel? Chantel?
Yes.
You are ready?
Yes.
Okay. Leilani, you are ready?
Yes.
Okay. Imani, you are ready?
Yes.
That's cool. Then you said you've not installed Anaconda, so you just have to follow up and then you'll watch the video.
Hi, Mary.
Yes, Ernest.
You are saying?
Yeah, these are Prisca. The name is Ven. The student's name is Ven.
Oh, Ven.
Yeah. But she uses the phone because the mother uses the laptop at this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but usually she just watches the videos and follows along.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so we can just start.
Yeah, you can just proceed.
Okay, so thank you. And so yeah, so we can start by writing a simple introduction code in Python. And so what we are going to do in this code is that we are going to instruct the computer to print for us the word hello world. And so how we do it is we use the print. You can write print. After print, include brackets. Inside the brackets, include quotation marks. That way. Then write the words hello world. And so hope all of you were able to get there. And so what this code is going to do for us, it's going to instruct, we're going to give the computer instructions using the Python language so that it can be able to print these words, hello world. And so after writing that, so that for us to run this code, what we do, you see up here, we have the run button. You can just click on it. Once you click on it, you can see we have an output down here with the name hello world, with the words hello world printed out. And so this is a simple Python program that we've created that is going to print for us hello world statement. And so let me just repeat again. And so for you to print the word, any word that you want, hello world, or any word that you want, the first thing you do, you write print, include brackets. Inside the brackets, include quotation marks. It can be either double quotation marks or single, all will work. Then inside the quotation marks, you can write any statement in there and it will be able to be printed out to you. And so we can write another statement like, hey, have this statement, hey there, I'm using Python. And so to run this so that it can be printed out, what you do, you click on run. Once you've clicked on run, we get an output down here. And so it's as simple as that. We have instructed the computer to print these words in the brackets. And so the words have been printed out as, hey there, I'm using Python. And so this is a simple, It's a simple program that I've created here. And so here we've just asked the computer to print the words hello world. And in the second line, we have asked the computer to print, hey there, I'm using Python. And so, and it gives each time it gave you a result down here. And so it's as simple as that. We have written and executed our first Python code. And so hope all of you have been able to do that. If anyone is stuck anywhere, you can just ask. Anyone stuck? Okay. So we can proceed on to the next topic. And so in this next topic, what we're going to do, we're going to be able to perform, to do math with Python. And so our next topic is that math is fun. So math is fun using Python. That's our next starting topic. And so in Python provides us with different mathematical operations. And so we can be able to perform any, just like a calculator, it can be able to perform any math calculation. And so to perform any math calculation, you can maybe start with the first type of calculation we can be able to perform in Python. That is, you can be able to perform addition. So to add two numbers in Python, what you do, say we have 1 plus 2. So Python will be able to add these two numbers because we have instructed it to use the addition sign, which we have here, to add the two numbers. And so when we run, we get the answers 3. That way. And so here for addition, we use the plus sign, and the plus sign will be able to get it at the side of the keyboard. You can see we have the plus sign there. And so by including it and having two numbers there, it's able to add the two numbers. And so this is a simple addition. And so Python can be able to perform very complex addition of very big numbers that we human beings are unable to perform. Let's say we have a number like this very huge number. We can be able to perform addition on it. So we can be able to add it to another very huge number. That way. And so by clicking on run, we can, as you can see, we are able to add these two numbers, these two very large numbers. This is almost trillions of numbers here. And so this is how powerful Python is. And so most of the calculators I don't think can perform this kind of calculation. But in Python, you are able to perform that. And so for addition, you use the plus sign, and you have your two numbers, just like in maths. After having them there, you click on run so that you can have your results displayed down there. Next, we'll be able to perform subtraction. able to perform subtraction using Python. And we can have a simple subtraction. And for subtraction, we use the minus sign, which is just there adjacent to the plus sign that we have for addition. And so for subtraction, we use the minus sign that looks like that way. And so 3 minus 2. And so when we run this, we'll be able to get our result as 1 down there. And so that is subtraction using the minus sign in Python. Next, we can also perform very complex subtraction. Sorry, very complex subtraction. And let's minus this other big number from that. And so by clicking on run, you can see it's still able to give us a result because it's more powerful than the calculators that we normally use for our mathematical calculations. Next, after subtraction, we are going to have a look at division. Let's have a look at division now. And so for division in Python, say we want to divide the number 50. We want to divide it by 2. So what we use for division in Python is the forward slash. The forward slash that looks this way, the one with the tip bending towards the right. The tip is bending towards, is leaning towards the right. And so this is our forward slash. This is what we use for division. Instead of the division sign that we use in mathematics, we use the forward slash in Python. And so we have 50 forward slash 2. This means 50 divided by 2. And so when we run that, we are able to get 25 as our answer. One thing that you should notice is that the answer that we've gotten from the division of 50 by 2 is a decimal number. By a decimal number, we mean it has a decimal point in it. We have 25.0. So this is a decimal number. And so division in Python usually results in a decimal number. So we can have another example like 28, 94. Let's divide this large number by 3. When we run this, we are able to get our answer. And remember, our answer is in decimals. I'll be able to explain why later on. And so after division, we're going to look at multiplication. And so in Python, let's say we want to divide the 2 by 3. And so what we use for multiplication in Python is the asterisk. The asterisk looks like a star. Yeah, that's the asterisk. But in Python, we use it for multiplication instead of the X that we use in math. And so the asterisk is going to perform for us the multiplication. 2 multiplied by 3. You can run and you get your result as 6. And so this is multiplication in Python. We do it using the asterisk. We can also have We can also perform multiplication on very large numbers. And so you can have very large numbers like these ones that we have here. When you run that, Python is also able to give you a result, a very large number. This kind of numbers can't even fit in our calculators. And so that's why Python is very powerful to perform these mathematical calculations. And so that is multiplication. Use the asterisk. Next, we have modulus. And so what modulus does is that it gives us the remainder after division has occurred. And so let me just write that down. It gives us the remainder and so the modulus gives us the remainder after a division has occurred. And so we can try it out. Say you divide 5. Say you divide 5 by 2. So the answer that we are going to get here in simple division, we are going to get 2 remainder 1, because 2 remainder 1. When we divide it by we're going to get division as when we divide by 2, we're going to get the answer as 2, but 1 will be left. And so for us to get the remainder after division has occurred, what you do, you use the modulus sign. And so for modulus, we use the percentage sign to represent modulus. In that way, the percentage sign in between two numbers that who you want to find the remainder for. And so after division of 5 by 2, we are going to get the answer as 2 remainder 1. And so what modulus is going to just give us is the remainder, what remains after the division has occurred. And so when we run this, we are able to get 1 as our answer. And so after the division of 5 by 2, we'll get a 1 being left over as our remainder. And so that is what the modulus does. And so mostly modulus is used to check for divisibility test. I think that you have learned that divisibility test. And so let's say you want to test if 4 is divisible by 2. For you to do that, you write 4 modulus 2. And so when we run this, we'll get the result as 0. Getting the result as 0 indicates that the number is divisible by 2. That is 4 is divisible by 2. But when we want to check if 5, or let's take 7, is divisible by 2, and when we run this, we're going to get 1. It means that we have a remainder here, and having a remainder indicates that the number 7 is not divisible by 2. And so that is modulus. So this, what we have here, these are the mathematical operations, calculations that you'll be able to do with Python. And so let's say anytime you're stuck with your homework, you can just come here and use Python as your calculator. And so we have addition here, as I've shown you. We are able to add 1 by 2, we got 3. We are able to add these two large numbers, and we are able to get the answer for that. We looked at subtraction, and we used the minus sign for that, just like in math, and we were able to get the answer for that too. And next, we looked at division. We said for division, we use the forward slash. The forward slash leans towards the right. And so 50 forward slash 2 indicates that 50 divided by 2, and that is going to give us a result as 25. And one thing about division that I've said is that it usually gives us the result as a decimal number. And so a decimal number is any number that has a point or a decimal point in it. And so this is a decimal. So every time you perform division, no matter if it is wholly divisible, it's going to give us a decimal number. Next, we looked at multiplication. And so for multiplication, we said that you use the asterisk, the star that you have in your keyboard. That is what we use in place of the multiplication sign, the X that we use in math. And so when you use the asterisk, you're saying 2 multiplied by 3. That is going to give us the result as 6 down below. The final thing that we looked at was the modulus. And so for the modulus is going to give us the remainder after division has occurred. And so we wanted to find the remainder of 5 and 2 after the division of 5 by 2, that is. After dividing 5 by 2, we usually get an answer of 2, remainder 1. And so what modulus does, it just finds for us whatever remains only. It doesn't give us the whole answer. It just gives us what remains after division has occurred. And so we say that an application of modulus is used for divisibility tests. And so let me have it written here. So it is applied in divisibility tests. And so if we have two numbers, we want to check here if 4 is divisible by 2. And so whenever we get the answer as 0, that indicates that the number is divisible by 2. But if we get the remainder of 1 or any other number, it indicates the number is not divisible. And so for our case here, we wanted to test if 4 is divisible by 2. And so we got the answer as 0. 0 indicates that we don't have any remainder. So 2 was able to divide 4 wholly with no remainder. And so that indicates that 4 is divisible by 2. Next, we looked at an illustration using 7. We wanted to test if 7 is divisible by 2. And so after performing that, we got the answer as 1. And so we didn't get any 0. So we got a remainder of 1. And so if there exists any remainder, that indicates that the number is not divisible. And so these are the common mathematical operations or calculations that you can perform using Python. So hope all of you are able to get. If anyone is stuck somewhere, you can just ask before we continue on to something else.
Ernest, maybe each one can share their screen so that we see how far they've gone.
Okay.
You can just start from the top.
It's not showing. I'm not able to find the addition and subtraction.
There?
Addition and subtraction thing.
Could you share your screen? Can you share? You're able to share? So we can just start. So in the first line, just press on run, click on run up there. Yeah, now we are able to print the word hello world. For the second cell, what you do, you have to indicate, you have to put in the quotation marks around the words here, around that statement. Yeah. So now click on run to run the cell. Write 4. Hi, Manny.
Yes.
What you can do, move your pointer to the cell, to the blank cell down there. Yeah, click on that. Now press on 4 in your keyboard. Then you'll see an addition sign. You'll see an addition sign where, yeah, 1. Then now press on 3 so that we can add 4 by 3. Now press on run, click on run up there. So now we are able to perform addition. So you can try add 250 by 300. You can try perform that addition. 250 by 500. 250, add it by 500. Yeah, or 300, it's okay. You can just run. See, now we are able to perform an addition, other addition. So next we looked at subtraction. And so for subtraction, what you can do, do a subtraction of 10 minus 2. You see the result is 8. So let's have 1000. You can perform another 1000 minus 6. See now, we have our result there, 994. Next, we looked at division. And so for division, I want you to divide 50 by 2. And so for 50, write 50. Then for division, we use the forward slash and look for the forward slash here by 2. Run again. Yeah, now we are able to perform division. And so next you can perform division. Let's divide 28,000 divided by 14. You can see now we have the result there as 2,000. Then after the division, we did multiplication. And so for multiplication, we use the asterisk. So I want you to multiply 5 by 6 using the asterisk, the star by 6, and then run. You can see we have the result there. So we can perform another multiplication. Let's have 100 by 100. Multiply 100 by 100. When you run, we have the answer down there. And so after that, we looked at modulus. And so we said that modulus gives us the remainder after division has occurred. And so what I want you to do, let's find the remainder after the division of 13 by 3 using the modulus sign. And so the modulus sign is the percentage sign in your keyboard. So write 13. Look for the percentage sign in your keyboard. Yeah, 3. Modulus 3. Yeah. Now run. You'll see that we have a remainder of 1 after the division of 13 by 3. And so that is modulus. Okay, so you're good. You're good now. I think, yeah. Okay, welcome. So anyone else who is stuck?
Chantel, can you share your screen? Chantel? Chantel, you're there?
Yes.
Can you share your screen?
It's disturbing.
Maybe you can just tell teacher Ernest what's happening. The problem you're facing with the computer.
Try sharing again. Yeah.
My sharing.
No, we can't see anything. You can stop share, then go again. Yeah. Then now go on the share button, click on that. You'll see an option, share screen now.
Can you now see?
Yeah, we can see, but yeah, now you can share.
We can see your YouTube page, Chantel.
Now?
No, now we're just in a white space, a white page, a white blank page.
Have you been following in Jupyter? Did you open Jupyter on your computer?
Yes.
Okay, you've been coding?
Yes.
Okay, now where is that page that you are coding from?
It's refusing to share.
Hi, Sean, can you please help Chantel? Sean, you're there?
Yeah.
Please help Chantel find where she was working from.
She's refusing me to help her.
Chantel, let Sean help you so that you can move with the rest.
YouTube? Mom? Going back YouTube.
You can try sharing again. Or as we wait on you, we can have Leilani share the screen. Hi, Leilani.
Hi.
Could you share your screen?
It's not sharing.
Huh? To share, you can just click on the share screen button down there. Click on the share screen button. Then after you click on it, you'll see a screen written screen just below its screen. You have the whiteboard. Then we have screen. Then you can click on share thereafter.
Leilani, you're not able to share?
No.
Or what's the issue?
When I press share screen, it's just turning black.
Okay, but were you able to do the calculations, the math that we did?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so
that's Chantel's screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the first thing that we did was to print. Remember, we printed the words hello world. And so maybe you can write it, yeah, print, no space between, yeah. Not that way. You can just backspace until where we have print starting. Yeah, now press enter brackets. After the brackets, enter quotation marks. And then in the quotation marks, you enter the statement hello world. Then press on run. That's the run button that is up there. Yeah. And so now you see we have hello world printed out. And so next we printed, yeah, again. This time you can write anything that you want printed out. You can think of any statement that you want. So now we have Bible printed out. And so the next thing that we looked at was addition. And so you can try adding 4 by 3. Type 4 plus 3. Then run. When you run, Python will add the two numbers and we get 7 as the answer. So this time, Chantel, I want you to add, you can try adding 500 by 600. So now we have the answer as 1100. And so after addition, we looked at subtraction. And so for subtraction, we see that you use the minus sign. And so you can try 10 minus 2. Type 10 minus 2. And then when you run, you get 8. So now I want you to do 100 minus 9. Now we get the answers 91. Nice, correct. So next we looked at division. And so for division, we see that we use the forward slash. And so now I want you to have 50 divided by 2. 50 divided by 2. Note that, remember we use the forward slash for division. The forward slash. Note that one. Forward slash. Note that one. So you can find the forward slash. Can you see where we have the enter? We have enter. Below enter, we have shift. Then after shift, go backwards one step towards the left. You'll see a question mark. Once you're there, press on shift, then the question mark. Shift, question mark. Shift, shift, question mark. Yeah, that way. So that's how we enter the forward slash. Yeah. Now you can click on run to run it, that we can see the result. So we have 2.25.0. So now try 2100 divided by 3. Let's see. Okay, good. Next, we looked at multiplication. And so for multiplication, we said that you use the asterisk sign, the star in your keyboard. And so we can try doing 2 multiplied by 3. 2, write 2, asterisk, the star in your keyboard, the star symbol. Not that one. It looks like a star. No, not that one. So to get that, press on shift. Yeah, that one. Nice. Times 3. Then press on run. Good. Now we have 6. And so next, let's have next, and then you can rename. So times 5. Yeah, so 6 times 5. Now we have that. Correct. So we go to modulus, and we say that modulus is used to find the remainder after division has occurred. And so try 13 modulus 3 so that we can find the remainder after the division of 13 by 3. So write 13 modulus, the percentage sign, 3. And then you can click on run. Okay, correct. So now I want you to find the remainder after the division of 14 by 2. Try 14 by 2. the remainder, what remains after the division of 14 by 2? Not bad, but to get the remainder, Chantel, what we do, we use the modulus sign, the percentage sign, instead of the division sign. The percentage sign, yeah, by 2. And so we want to get the remainder correct. So now you're good. Now, yeah, so now you can stop share so that we can continue. Okay. Hi, Mary.
Yes, Ernest?
It seems that we have lost 2 of our members.
Leilani and Imani.
Yeah.
Maybe internet issues or power.
Yeah, most likely. So, so I just continue on.
Let's give them a few minutes, like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sean, meanwhile, Sean can share his screen. Sean?
Yeah, so I see Sean is okay. So Sean, one thing that I can be able even to tell you is that we can change. You see where we have math is fun using Python. So what you can do, you can change that cell to markdown cell so that it can appear as a title instead. And so just have it the same way it is. Click on where we have in 10, where we have the number 10. Just click on that. So now go to the drop down which has code. Where we have code, we have a drop down there. Code, not there. Just go towards the right. Code, drop down. Click on markdown. And then what you do, come back to the cell. You see where we have the last hash sign. You should have you should put a space between the last hash sign and the statement that we have there. Space. Yeah. Now run that cell. Now we have a title there. So, but okay, the rest of the stuff you are good. Yeah.
Maybe Ernest, we can break.
Okay,
A
yeah.
short
So,
while as I try calling their mom.
okay.
Hi, Ernest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd lost connection, but they're joining.
Okay.
Yeah, so they should be on by, I think, in 5 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, so we can just wait for them.
Yeah, let's just wait for them.
Okay.
Hi, Ernest. Ernest,
Yeah.
I can see they're taking longer than we expected. Maybe we can just continue. We'll catch up with them later.
Okay, sir. Let me just continue. So are you guys able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen, but
Oh,
you're low. Your volume is too low.
how about now?
Still low.
Now?
Yeah, now it's good. There was some noise in the background.
Yeah. Let me see what I can do.
Okay. Ven, you're there. Sean, you're there.
Yes.
Okay. Chantel, you're there. Chantel.
Yes.
Okay, you're there. Fine. I can see Ven is also there. Okay.
Okay, now I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Yeah, so the next thing that we are going to look at is variables. And so what variables are, so I've illustrated down here with this drawing. So a variable is like a container, that we store values in. And so when a program needs the value, now it's going to be able to get the value from the container that you have saved it from. So in this illustration, what I've done here is that this is 5. What I've done to 5 is that I've inserted it into a container, and this container is what we call a variable. And so this is a storage container which is going to store the number 5. And so every time our program needs our value number 5, this time it will be able to get it from the variable that is the container. So let me, and so, sorry. Yeah, so every time program needs the value number 5, it will be able to get it from the variable, the container. So we are able to get the value number 5 from this. Let me illustrate this in Python. So we have variables.
I can see Leilani has joined. Hi, Leilani.
Yes?
Oh, you are now good.
Yes.
Okay. And Imani?
Imani is not able to join, so she's going to be over here.
Okay, so
following via your screen.
yeah.
Pardon?
Okay, let's continue. So I had introduced variables. And so what variables are, and so variables are storage containers. In Python, as simple as that. And so what variable do, they store values. And so what they do, they store values. In Python. And so as I had illustrated, let me do the illustration once more. So as I had illustrated, we have our value number 5 here. We have a container titled var, which stands for variable. So what variable do, they take our value and it stores this value in the container called var. And so here we have this container having, now this container var will be having the value number 5 in it. And so once 5 has been stored in the container, var will be having the value number 5 in it. So it's equal to, sorry. So it's equal to the number 5. Var is equal to 5 now. After that, whenever the program needs our value number 5, it will now be able to get the value from this container. And so maybe let me now illustrate that using Python. And so what I was saying is that variables are storage containers in Python. And so they store values in Python. That is the work of a variable. And so to store a value in Python, the first thing, we have to get a name for our container. Like in the illustration that I've shown you, the name of that container, we gave it the name var. And then we stored the value number 5 in it. And so to store the value number 5 in var using Python, what we do, we use the equal sign. Var equal sign. The equal sign is going to assign the value number 5 and put it into our container var. And so when you run this now, what has happened here is that the value 5 has been inserted into our variable. Our variable has the name var. And so every time Python wants to make use of the value number 5, instead of using the value itself, we are able to call our variable var. And so now our variable var will be containing the value 5 in it. And so when we print, let's try and find out the value contained in our variable. So we can find out the value in our variable by printing. By using the print, we want to print this variable, this container, what the contents of the container. And so once we run it, we get the number 5 being the output. And so this shows that that 5 has been this shows that we have assigned the value 5. We have assigned the value 5 to our variable var. This is where assignment has happened. And so by assignment, I mean simply what is happening here is that we are storing the value 5 into this variable called var. As I have said here, variables are storage containers in Python. And so var here is a variable. Number 5 is a value. And so the next statement, which is here, which says that what variable do is that they store values in Python. And so we have our variable var, we have our value here. And so we use the equal sign to store, to indicate that we are storing our value into our variable. Yeah. And so once we run this cell, when we run this cell, what will happen is that the number 5 will be stored into the name var, which is our variable. Yeah. And so after doing this, whenever we print var, as we have done in the second cell down here, whenever we print var, we are going to get the result as 5. And so whenever, even when we call var down here, you're going to get it as value number 5. And so using the same var, we are able to perform mathematical operations on it. And so you can multiply this var by 2 and you'll get 10. The reason being is that now var holds the number 5 in it. And so multiplying var by 2 is the same as multiplying 5 by 2. And so we get 10. So that is what variables are. Maybe I can, let me look for another simple explanation. And so here we have another example of a variable. And so what I said is that variables are containers for storing values. And so usually we assign a value to a variable. And so when you want to store your value, that is your data, your value, into a variable, the first thing you do is to identify a name to use as a label for your variable. You identify a name for your variable. Then the next thing that you do is assign. You assign a value to that name. And so we can have us do again. And so let's create another variable now. Let's create another variable. So we can create another variable. The first step to creating another to create a variable, step number 1 is to identify a name for your variable. That's the first step, identify a name for your variable. Step number 2, we assign, or we give it a value using the equal sign. So these are the 2 steps. So step number 1, to create a variable. Remember, a variable is a storage container. And so to create a variable, the first step is to identify a name. Let's say in our case, let's use number as our name, the name of our variable, number. And so we want to store value in our variable number. And so what we do, we use the equal sign to give it a value. And say, in this case, let's give it the number 25. And so once we run this cell, what is going to happen is that you see our value 25 here is going to be stored in our variable number. 25 is going to be stored in number. And so when we print number, when you use the print number and run that, you'll see what will happen is that the value 25 is going to be printed out. This is because 25 now has been stored into our variable, and our variable name is number. And so remember, a variable is a storage container that is used to store values. So let me write a better definition. So variables are storage containers used to store values in Python. So that's what a variable is, storage containers used to store values in Python. So that is variable. And so with variable, the names which we give to our variables should be descriptive name. And so let's say, let's take an example. We can have a variable having my first name. And so say my first name is Ernest, right? And so that is my first name. And so I want to show this first name into a variable. The best name that I can give to my variable will be a more descriptive name, a name that describes what it's storing. And so the best name that I can give my variable is first name. And so this is a variable name here. And this variable name Ernest is going to be stored. It's going to be stored into this first name variable. Name Ernest is going to be stored into my variable first name. And so when I use the print, when I print first name, and run, what will happen is that my name will be printed out instead of first name. And so that's a simple introduction to variables. And so maybe I can give you a task to do to test your understanding of variables. And so what I want you to do is to store your age in a variable. So this is a task that I would like you to perform. I would like you to store your age in a variable. And so remember, I was able to store. You can use the same way that I was able to store the number 5 into the variable var. And so now I'd like you to store your age in a variable. And so this is a task that you can be able to do. And so yeah, so all of you can try. You can try store your age in a variable, and then I'll be able to check and explain. So let's take about 2 minutes to do that. It's as simple. Remember how I was able to store this number 5 to the variable name var, and also remember how I was able to store the number 25 into the number. Use the same format. You'll be able to store your age using a variable. And so here, what I did was store my first name using a variable here. And so the same approach that I used, you can use the same approach to perform this task. Store your age using a variable. So right, so we can start with Sean. Maybe you can share your screen. You see how you have stored your age. Hi, Sean.
Hey.
Yeah, you can share. Yeah, so now what you can do, yeah, so what you can do, yeah. Okay, so now you can perform the task whereby I asked you to store. You can store your age using a variable. Store your age using a variable. And so remember, the first thing that you do is to identify a name for your variable. You are doing it right. Yeah, you're almost there. But remember, for us to give a value to our variable, we use the equal sign. So what you can do, you can remove the brackets around surrounding the 14. Then, yeah, equal sign, and then you give it the value. Yeah, that way. And so now you can run. And so now you can try printing your edge using the variable instead. So remember with edge, yeah, that's correct. So yeah, correct. So so now you can stop share so that we can have another person sharing the screen. This time we can have Leilani sharing screen. Share your screen. Hi, Leilani. Or we can have Chantel. You can share your screen, Chantel. Hi, Chantel. Yeah, Leilani has already shared. Okay, so Leilani, you can just continue sharing. Yeah. So you see where we have Leilani. Look for this cell number 22. The cell 22, the cell at the top, where you have first name equals to Leilani. No, not there. Where we have first name equals to Leilani. There. No, cell 22. Yeah, there. And so you see Leilani, the name Leilani has to be surrounded by quotation marks. So what you can do, yeah, you can include quotation marks around it. Yeah, then run now. Once you run, now you can run the second one to print your first name. Yeah, that way. So now, Leilani, what you can do, you can store your age in a variable. Remember what we said, the first thing is to identify a name for a variable, then we assign it a value. Yeah, now you can print your age. We don't, for now, we don't use the quotation. Yeah. For variables, when you are printing variables, we don't use the quotation around it. Now, correct. So yeah, correct. Now you can stop share so I can continue. Okay, Chantel, are you able to share your screen? Chantel?
Yes.
Yeah, so now we want you to store your age into a variable. And so remember, to store a value into a variable, you have to identify a variable name. and store a value in it. You can try. Try having a name for your variable, and then have a value stored into your variable. So first, what you can do, you can remove the name Chantel first. Let me guide you. So press backspace so that you can clear the name first. Then write first name as one word, first name. Write first, don't write Chantel, write first name. Yeah, first name. Yeah, that way. First name. Yeah, so in between first name, first and name, remove the space in between there. Remove that space. And yeah, put an underscore. Put underscore between the two names, between first and name. Between first and name, put underscore. Press on shift, yeah, that way. After that, just in front of name, go, yeah, now include an equal sign in front of name. Not there. Sorry. After first name, include the equal sign. And so after that, include quotation marks. Quotation marks. Not that one. Quotation marks, the one which you have used to write Bible. The quotation marks, not there. Not there. Go to where we have 5. Not there. Chantel. Remove the first quotation. You see where we have first. Remove that quotation. You can remove that. Yeah. Now go after the equal sign. Now include quotation. Then now you can write your first name there. You can write Chantel. And now you can run the cell. Has it run? No, go back, go. Yeah, there, now run. It does not yet run. Okay, so what you can do, try running the cell number 2, where we have print Bible. Try running that print Bible. Run that. So what you do, you see where we have code, the name code, just below Python class 1. Up, move your pointer. Yeah, code. Then move towards, not there, not that. Where we have the almost complete circle. Yeah, click on that. Restart. And so now go to the first cell, print hello world. Click on there. and then run. Yeah, now go to print Bible, run. Now go to first name equals Chantel, run again. Okay, now this, go to the cell just below there and type print. I want you to print first name. Yeah, in there, write first name. Yeah, you should write it the same way that it appears up here. The same way it appears. Not that way, Chantel. Have brackets. Let's have a brackets. Yeah, in that bracket, now capital. From there, from after F, write everything in capital letter, just as the way you have written. Yeah, after F, write everything in capital letters. Just the same way you have written the one above here. Yeah. And now press on run. And so now the name Chantel has been printed out. So good. So he wanted you to store your age in a variable. And so the first thing you remember, you have to have your variable name. Look for a suitable variable name and then assign your age to it. And so we can have something like age, write the word age. Then equal sign. Then put in your age there, write your age. Yeah, then press on run. Yeah, and now we want, now you can print age down here. No, print should be in small letters. Now print age. Remember, age should be in capital letter because you have given the value 9 to capital letter age. Yeah, correct. Now click on run. No, remove the 9, remove 9. Yeah, there, then click on run. Now you can see your age is printed out. So, okay, so good. So you can stop share that I can continue. So the correct answer, this was the correct answer. And so I see everyone got that correct. So this is what I wanted. And so now the next thing, we are going to look at rules. We are going to look at rules for naming variables. And so normally we have many rules for naming variable, but I'm going to give you the simpler ones that are easier to remember. And so one thing about variables is that we can have age, small letters, we can have age as different variables. And so let me explain this, how it works. And so, you know, Python reads this different age. We have age which has a capital letter A. We have age with small letters, and we have uppercase or capital letter age. All letters are capital here in the third age. All these are three different variables in Python. And so we can have age equals to 9. That's the first age. We can have age with small letters equals to 10. That's the second age. We can have age equals to 12. These three age, this represent three different variables. And so these three are not the same. So say you print, let's print age and see what we'll get. When you print age with a capital A, you'll get 9. When we print age, with small letters, lowercase letter, we are going to get 10 as our answer. You can see these two variables are different in Python. So age with a capital A and age with small letter is different, are two different things. And also we can print age with all capital letters. You can print that and see what we'll get. We'll get 12. You can see now. So age with a capital A, age with all letters, small letters, and age with all letters capitalized are three different values in Python. And so that's the first rule of Python. It means that Python is case sensitive. So Python is case sensitive. This means that when we have age with a capital letter A and a age with all small letters, there are two different variables in Python. So that is rule number 1. We can have rule number 2. Rule number 2 is that variable names cannot start with numbers. And so the second rule is that variable names cannot start with numbers. And so say you want to store, let's say I want to store my first name, Ernest. Say I want to store my first name into a variable. And so how we did it previously, how we did it was using first name. You can see all these are letters. Yeah. And so I can store my first name there. Say in the case whereby I didn't use all letters to represent my variable name. So say I use first number 1 first name. I write first name using a number. And so you can see here my variable name is starting with the number. But now in Python, this is not allowed. You can see, let me show you why. So we have first name. First is 1, then st to represent first. And so when we run this, we are going to get an error. And so you see this error here, which we have, is called syntax error. This is because syntax error means that we have broken one of Python's rule. That is what syntax error is. And so in this case, we have broken the rule that a variable name cannot start with a number. But here in my case, I've started it with a number 1. And so now we get an error. One way, the only way that is accepted is to have a letter or a word starting a variable name. We can never start a variable name with a number. And so let's say if we remove the number 1 and we just write first instead of number 1 and run. Now you can see Python has accepted this as a valid variable name. And so now we can even print it. That way. But in the case where we had 1, first name with a 1, when we ran that, we had an error there, which gave us the syntax error. And the syntax error indicates that we have broken one of Python's rule. And so that is rule number 2. Variable names cannot start with numbers. It can start with any other thing other than a number. So the best way to write Python variables is using letters and words instead of using numbers. You should avoid using numbers for that. So we can look at another rule. Rule number 3 is that variable names cannot have space between them. So variable names cannot have space between them. And what I mean is, like in the case whereby you wanted to store my first name in a variable, that way we can't use this as a variable name. That was the reason why I was insisting that we include the hyphen to join that, to include the underscore, sorry, to include the underscore to join these two words. And so in the case where I want to store my first name into a variable, we can't have the words first and name being variable name. And so when we run this, we'll run into an error because we have a space in between first and name, in between these two words. And so to fix this, we include an underscore between the two words. After that, now we are able to store our value into this variable name. And so when you run, Now we don't have any error because we don't have space. We have gotten rid of the space in between these two words. So that is rule number 3. And so we can have one more rule. This is the last rule that we have. Rule number 4 is that variable names can only contain letters, can contain underscore, and can also contain numbers, but not at the start. And so variable names can only contain letters or words. You can say letters or words. So variable names can only contain letters or words. It can contain underscores and numbers in them. But for numbers are not allowed to start variable names. And so we can have something, this being a valid variable name, number, it has letters in the words, it has an underscore, and it has a number, but you notice that this number is not starting the variable name. And so number 1 equals to, you can have that being a valid variable name. But you see, when you have 1 starting a variable name, we are going to have an error. When we have something like this, we're going to have an error because we can't start variable names with numbers. And so these are the 4 main rules for variables, in that age with a capital A, age with small letters, and age with all capital letters are 3 different variables in Python. And so this is what we call case sensitive. And so capital letters are if you capitalized age, that will make it different from the small letter age in Python. So we saw that age, the capital A, is different from age with a small a and age with all capital letters. Next, we saw that variable names cannot start with numbers. And so here I tried using first name with a 1. I included 1 instead of first. I included 1, and you see I ran into an error, because in Python, one of the rules is that we cannot start variable names with numbers. Next, we looked at, so we saw that first, the word first was accepted, but the number first was not accepted in Python. Here you see we had an error. And also I said that syntax error occurs when we have broken one of the Python's rule. Next, we looked at rule number 3. Variable names cannot start cannot have space between them. And so say we have a name, we want to give the name first name to our variable. The first name cannot, the two words cannot have space in between them. And so for us to remove this space, we usually use an underscore to join the two words. And this will be acceptable in Python because you don't have any space. The space, we've gotten rid of the space and included the underscore to join the two words. For this, will give us a syntax error, meaning that we have broken one of the rules in Python, which is that we cannot have space between words used for variable names. Number 4 is that variable names can only contain letters or words, or an underscore and a number. And so these are the things that the characters that are accepted in naming your variables. We can have letters in a variable name, like N is a letter, U is a letter, M is a letter, or words like number is a word. We can have an underscore there. We have an underscore there in between number and 1. Also, we can have numbers, but these numbers which are in a variable cannot start the variable name. So we cannot start the variable name with a number. And so here I inserted the number at the end of the variable name. And so this was accepted by Python as a valid variable name. But when I inserted the number at the beginning of the name, it gave me an error. This is because numbers are not allowed to start variable names, but they are allowed to be anywhere within the variable name other than the beginning, at the beginning of the at the start of the name, at the beginning of the name, that is. And so those are the 4 rules for naming variables. And so this ends our first class in Python. And so the next class we're going to look at strings in Python. And so yeah, the next class we're going to look at strings in Python. For now, you can go and practice on what we have learned today. And then in the next class, you can look at the strings in variable. Then after strings, we are going to now do the cool stuff. We are going now to build a simple game in Python, which we can be able to play during the next session. So yeah, so that's the end of today's class. I'll send you the notes on email so that you can go through them. So yeah.
Thank you, Teacher Ernest. Maybe before you leave, I'm sure there's something new that each one of us has learned today. So maybe we can start from the top. You just mentioned one thing that you've learned today that you've never heard about and you're excited about it. Let's start from Sean. Sean, what's that one thing that you've learned today?
I've learned.
Yeah.
I've learned about variables.
Okay, what about variables?
The way they store things.
Okay, that's nice, Sean. Next on the list is Chantel. What have you learned today?
I learned.
Yes.
I learned I learned how.
Okay, I think Chantel's sound has an issue. Yes, Chantel?
I learned how
Yes.
to make. I learned that you can make games in Jupyter Python.
Yeah.
You can. That the coding is fun.
Yes.
That it can like copy paste, like the one for age and name. Like you write print, then you
Yeah.
write your name or your age, and then it's like it prints.
Okay, that's nice, Chantel. Hope you'll be able to practice after even the class.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next is Ven. Ven, you're there?
I've
Yes.
learned
Yeah.
how the Python interprets different language. If you write in capital letters, it interprets differently. If you
Yeah.
write in small letters, it interprets differently.
Okay, nice. Hope you'll be able to download the software before the day ends so that you can be able to practice.
Yes, I'll download after this lesson.
Okay, so that you practice what was learned last time and today.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is Imani. Imani, are there?
Yes. I learned more about Python and how you can use it to make a calculator.
How we can be able to use it to do what?
To make a calculator.
Okay, oh yeah, to calculate. It acts like a calculator. Okay, that's nice, Imani. And lastly, we have Leilani.
I learned about variables and how small things can change the code.
Okay. That's nice. It's exciting to hear all of you have learned new things today, and hoping you'll be able to learn more after Teacher Ernest will share the notes. And Sean, will you share the YouTube video?
I shared it in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can as well share just in the email so that we don't forget to watch. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You have the email address of all the students in class?
Yeah.
Okay. And make sure you even copy Teacher Ernest. I sent you his email address. Okay. Thank you so much for coming and enjoy your lunch. Hope to meet next week, Wednesday.
Bye. What time?
Bye. The time. The classes usually start at 10 a.m. That's fine with everyone?
The classes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Bye and enjoy your lunch. You say hi to your mommies and daddies.
Okay.
You too. Say hi to your mommies and